Hello, hello. Here we are. Uh, so I'm gonna have to get into it pretty speedily here to start off with. So I should probably actually start and then talk about this. Start the ganache and then talk about this fish that I'm gonna be making. Um, so let's pull directly over here to the stove. So, uh, making French food today. Uh, One big reason for that, yesterday, my package of frozen shrimp shells that I collect was all full up. So I chucked it in a pot and boiled it into a stock. So I've got fresh shrimp stock that I'm going to have to use. So we're making something with that. And I was looking for ingredients or dishes I could use the shrimp stock for. And one of the winners that came up, what I'm looking for, cream. One of the winners that came up was Normandy sauce or sauce Normande, which is built upon Veloute, which we made once before. Uh, but poached poached Trout Normande is not going to take very long in theory. So I'm also going to do quick and dirty macarons. Um, so we'll see how quick and dirty those are. But I want to fill the macarons with a chocolate ganache. So I need to make it. Macarons have a history, an infamy, perhaps, of being very fiddly and difficult to get right. The thing is, and I was watching a YouTube cook who made them and emphasized that, yes, if you want to get them all perfectly right, they're quite fiddly, but you don't have to get them all perfectly right, which seems like a pretty simple concept, but he's right. It doesn't have to look perfectly right. So I'm going to make them quick and dirty, learn the ropes by making them ugly. I'm not going to go out of my way to make them ugly, but I expect them to turn out kind of ugly. If I use half of that, I need 5 ounces of. Oh, I was just sorry. I'm a little distracted. I was just helping a friend put a travel rack on their car, so I was in that mindset. Now I've got to switch gears over to the cooking world. I need 2. So half a cup and a little bit more ish cream. Hold on, I'm gonna grab. I jotted down a quick recipe so I wouldn't get totally lost, and I didn't grab it. So let me grab that. Come back with my little jotted down guide. I'm gonna need the half cup for measuring other things. I don't want to use the half cup here, so I'm gonna use the cup, the 1 cup, and fill it to the half mark, and go over a little bit. So I have made ganaches before, and my track record is not very good. The problem I have with them is that different chocolates impart different properties to the finished ganache. We're using a bittersweet, so this should be relatively firm when we get done. Ooh, they're nice big chips too. Look at these guys. Nibble on one. Mmm. Mmm. Good. So I need about 5 ounces of these. And I'm going to do that with the scale. Pretty close. Throw one more in there, probably tip it over. Yep. So not super accurate, but accurate enough. And the other thing I can't forget, I've done this before when I've made ganache and just forgot. Ganache needs some butter in it as well. Now these chips are already in little pieces, but if you're doing it with a big bar of chocolate, you would want to chop it up into approximately that size pieces. And the butter also should be broken up because we want it to melt quite quickly. I should double check. How much butter goes in ganache? It says a bit. So I'm going to add a tablespoon. Yes. So this part over here is ready. We're just heating the cream. Licking some butter off my finger. So we're still in step one because step one has to get done before I move on to anything else because the ganache is going to need to chill enough that it's not hot and liquidy. No, as I think always ends up happening when you make dinner and a dessert, you actually make the dessert first, because the desserts need more time to rest and such. Poaching a piece of trout takes what? 10 minutes? When we actually get to that part, the fiddly bit of the main dish is going to be making the Normandy sauce Normande, probably without the at the end because it's French. It's got dumb silent letters in French. But I'm heating the cream. This is how I have successfully made ganache. You could probably make it a different way, but and we need a whisk for this. And a topper. Sadly, I'm going to be using. We're going to use medium blue actually, because that bowl is kind of small, and I'm not going to whisk it vigorously. But I think it's too big for the tiny whisk. The tiny whisk can come and keep us company with the gentleman there. So assuming I get the macarons to work, I'm going to, in the future, have to experiment with not using almond flour for them. See if I can find a different flour, because almond flour, which I picked up, here it is not cheap. So we're doing it right this time, but I would like to figure out how to do it without the almond flour in the future. Um, Now, I know you can't just use regular wheat flour because they'll be little hard bread things instead of nice little chewy macarons, because the reason you're using almond flour is there's no gluten. Uh, so I don't know. That'll be an experiment down the road to see if I can't make macarons with other flours. And I have a vision in my head of what this is all going to look like when it's done, and I am reasonably confident that it's going to fall apart and look like a mess. So look forward to that. So I'm heating my cream. I should probably lightly whisk my cream so that it doesn't form my skin. I'm heating my cream. I don't want it to boil. So the moment it starts to bubble at all, I'm going to take it off of there, because milk and cream go from not boiling to boiling over in about 2 seconds. So as this heats up, I'm going to have to stand here and kind of watch it. And we need it to get about as hot as it can before it boils, so that it has the best chance to melt all of this chocolate and butter. Don't worry, we'll use the rest of this butter as well. There's a whole other half inch of butter there that it will not be gone to waste, because we need to make a veloute. My cream is trying to form a skin at all times. Will Tiny Whisk get used today? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Making things that are sort of largish. I'm probably going to have leftover Ganache, which is fine. That's easy to use as a dessert with other basic desserty things. I'm not sure what I'll do if I've got extra sauce Normande. Probably not even making that right either. Uh, we'll walk through the process for that later. This is the part I really need to watch. So a little bit of a dull start, but that's fine. Lets people filter in a bit at the opener here. Uh, we had some nice weather today and yesterday. I ended up having my windows open most of yesterday and then all night, and I closed them this morning just to preserve yesterday's delightful, cool weather. It's starting to smell like hot cream, like scalded milk. There's cream in everything I'm making today. Somewhere. I could I could make a side salad and try to make a cream-based dressing for it. That might be fun. But yeah, so here I stand, poking a pan of cream so that it does not form a skin or boil over. I'm sure there's an actual temperature I'm supposed to get it to that I'm not aware of, so I'm just kind of watching. This shouldn't take too much longer. It's like it shimmers slightly as it starts to form the skin. Trying to heat up, make it go faster. Oh, bubbles. It may have been a case of me having turned the heat up, that it was as hot as it was going to get without turning the heat up. Because the moment I turned the heat up, it started to form bubbles. Okay, we've got little bubbles. I'm going to call that as hot as I'm willing to go before it starts to act funny. Where did my small spatula go? Get over to our counter here. Hot cream, meat, chocolate. You can see the butter immediately starting to melt. To hasten it along, I'm going to pop a lid on it. We let that stand until it is soft. The chocolate is soft enough that I can evenly mix it together. Set my butter aside. Now I'm going to move the gentleman. Okay, I'm going to start getting other ingredients out while that is working away. I won't get in the process of them until I get that in the fridge, but we can at least look ahead. Part of the reason I'm doing these two things together is that one of the recipes calls for egg yolks and the other calls for egg whites. So clearly, they're meant to be made together. So we'll get out 3 eggs, because we need 3 eggs. We'll need the cream a little bit later. The almond flour is already out. I need my confectioner's sugar, which I have put up here in a jar. I need my granulated sugar, which is over here above the stove in an even larger jar. And it's trying to form blocks. Sugar, cream of tartar. I have cream of tartar. Somewhere. Cream of tartar is a powdered tartaric acid. So it's literally just pure acid. It also has another name that I can't remember the name of right now. Fun fact is, if you've got a container of baking powder, that should be the chemical right there. I'll have to look that up. I don't want to spout factoids that I'm not confident in. But these here, you can't see them because I put them on the wrong side. Flour, cream of tartar, egg, 2 kinds of sugar, and vanilla extract, which I'm going to go with vanilla for my first outing. These are the ingredients of a French macaron. Not, honestly, that intimidating of ingredients. And they have this fame of being such a difficult thing to make. And I think that's just, I literally think that just comes down to people wanting the perfection result. But you never make anything like that at home perfectly. Perfection is never the goal. Okay, my butter is melted. I'm going to see if I can't get this stuff to form together. Perfection is never the goal in home cooking. I think our chocolate is sufficiently melted. Ooh, this stuff, I love this stuff. Ganache is so easy to make. The bowl I'm using is perhaps a bit small for it. But the ganache is so easy to make. It's essentially an emulsion of melted chocolate and whipping cream. And if you adjust your proportions and or use different kinds of chocolate, you can get it to be much more liquidy. Like you could do a drizzle, a ganache drizzle for a cake topping. You can get it to be a firm paste. I made a tart that was filled with it, and you could take nice, neat slices. I've also seen whipped ganache that has a lot of liquid in it, enough that you can whip it like whipped cream, and it forms a foam. This is definitely way more than I need. It's also too soft for what I want to do with it, which is fine because it needs to go in the fridge. I just got to make sure that it's all perfectly incorporated. This stuff is delicious. Now, it's also fairly bitter at this point because I didn't add any sugar to it. This is just bittersweet chocolate and cream. And the cream and the butter definitely mellow it out, but they don't add any sweetness. So it's still got a pretty dark, bitter flavor to it, which is fine because I'm pairing it with a sweet vanilla cookie. Let's get my chocolatey whisk safely away. I'm just going to pop this back under its lid and into the fridge. And I kind of want to lick this whisk off, so I'm going to do that. Whisk licked. Away from the camera for that, so it wasn't quite so gross. Take a space for this thing. So it doesn't need to be cold, but it needs to be fairly well set. And we've got plenty of time for it to do that. Set enough that I can put it in between a sandwich cookie and it won't run out. Part 2. We get out our largest glass bowl. We also get out a smaller staging bowl and a even smaller yolk catcher. I'm going to save the yolks for the other recipe. So this is, let me clean out my large bowl just to be sure, because we're going to be whipping eggs in it. And no, I'm not doing them by hand this time. I'll be using the powered mixer, but I'm going to make sure this is as clean as we can get it. It's got little scuffs from the last time I used the power mixer. Because I could whip them by hand. I've proved that I can. And I don't want to do it again. It takes forever. I've got too many other things to do. It's not the main event today. Okay. So the safe way of the risky way of separating eggs is to separate them right over your finished bowl and pop the yolk in. Problem is, if you get any yolk in your egg whites, the fatty yolk will ruin your egg whites. So the safe way to do it is to crack it over a separate dish, a staging bowl, so that if you break your yolk, it falls in here instead of in the big one. For the first egg in your batch, it doesn't matter quite so much. But when you've got a bunch of eggs properly separated in there, and then you do one more and that one breaks, then you've got a disaster. Yolk, tiny bit of white. And then we add to the big bowl. It also helps you not, I crushed that eggshell a little bit too much, so I'm going to do this one completely with my fingers. So the other method of separating them out is you can just gingerly put it on your hand, and all the white should peel right off the yolk. That one actually came out even cleaner than the first one. That's probably the better method, honestly. And it's effective if you, because I got egg on my hand anyways, it's effective even if you really smash up your shell. You know, I just did exactly what I said not to do, which was riskily do two of them into one bowl. But it's the same process. You just do it with your hand, and you get the snotty egg white all over your hand. Perfect though, and I even forgot to do a transfer, and it worked out fine. Perfect. So 3 yolks, tiny bit of white in there, but that'll be fine. 3 whites. Or albumins. We should write up a recipe where we call all of the parts of the egg by their formal sciencey names. I'm looking at my recipe, which I've got jotted down here. So I need to have these ingredients sorted into their own separate dishes before I even start beating, because I got to add stuff as I'm going. So I need 1.5 cups almond flour, ugh, stuff is very, very ultra fine powdery. That's a little bit clumpy. And again, I'm not doing this super precise because I have a belief at this point that this does not need to be as precise as it is typically made to be perfectly fine and tasty. This quote unquote reclosable bag, the flour gets into the threads on the zip seal and prevents them from grabbing each other. That's convenient. So that's 1.5 cup almond flour, 1 cup powdered sugar, which I've worked with powdered sugar a couple of times, not on stream actually, maybe one time early on. I kind of hate working with this stuff. It's a bit of a mess. Uh, it's sticky. It attracts ants. It gets everywhere. It flies up in a cloud. But it tastes like sugar, so that's good. Need to do some more recipes with powdered sugar so I can get rid of this jar of powdered sugar. And finally, 1/2 cup of plain old sugary sugar. Which I am not worried about there being powdered sugar already in my cup measure because it's literally the same stuff, just ground finely. I also need to use up my big sugar because I want to get it out of this container because I want to put something else in this big container. Okay. That there. All right. When do I add the vanilla? Guess I'll add the vanilla when I add the cream of tartar, so it gets its best chance to incorporate. Because we start by bringing this guy into a foam. We're not going right to meringue. We're going first to a foam stage. And I have no idea how loud this is going to be. We did a blender last time, and it wasn't super loud, so I'm hoping this is not going to be super loud. But this is my electric mixer. We don't have a stand mixer. Stand mixers are very expensive. But you don't really need one for most things. There's only a very few things that a stand mixer does that you can't do really without them. That is not seated. Okay. Now this part's not loud because it's just a motor. It's when it rattles against the bowl. So for those of you listening, pipe up if this is atrociously loud, and I'll do a mute while I do this instead. But Okay, well, that's good. I was worried, but with the mic up by my face like this, it's not really a problem, as far as I can tell, to use powered things. Some shows I watch, they'll mute whenever they use a powered device because the mic picks it up so strongly that they would just deafen everyone. Okay, we've got to a pretty stable foam. So I'm going to add my 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. So the purpose of adding an acid to your egg foam, to a meringue foam like this, the acid causes the proteins to bind more. So you get a firmer, stronger foam without having to whip it quite as long or hard. You can whip it long and hard if you want. That's always an option. But you be aware that you don't have to. This is also the point where I'm going to add my teaspoon of vanilla because I was not paying attention and did not write down the correct time to add the teaspoon of vanilla, so I'm doing it right now. I'm hoping that these cookies are going to come out very white because I'm adding no coloring. This would be the stage when you'd also add a food color if you're doing a colored version of this. I'm not doing that. I'm going to give it a nice whisk or a nice beat to get those new ingredients incorporated. It immediately turned brown on me, but it'll lighten up as the bubbles get smaller. And this is the stage when I want to start adding in my regular sugar as well. And I'm not, like, the instruction is add it very carefully and slowly, but I think that's just to ensure that it's super, super, super smooth for those nice, perfect, shiny domes. I don't know that you have to do that to make it work. You just have to do that if you want it to be perfect. Which, again, this is a no perfection zone. The sugar will help form the meringue structure. We're whipping a meringue right now. That's what we're doing. A French meringue. The sugar will help form the meringue structure as we go. And we're looking for very firm peaks, very stiff peaks. So I want these to stand, when I turn it off and take them out, and it's forming ribbons right now, so it's not even close. But when I take it out and point it straight up, I want the points on the ends of the beaters to point straight up. Because there's no gluten in our flour. All of our structure for these things is coming from the egg. And all of the lift we're getting is coming from the air that we beat into the egg. So we want to get it all the way there. Actually, let's see how I'm. No, we're still on ribbons. I just remembered I do need to preheat my oven. So let's get the oven preheating while I'm doing this, so that when I actually get to that point, I can put them in. Again, you could do this by hand. I've done it by hand. I did it by hand on air. But it would take me a good 45 minutes of constant heavy whisking to get this to set like this. And it would be all in my own arm strength, which Let me tell you, never get in a fist fight with a baker. Those people are jacked. Nope, still ribboning. But it is firming up. I can see it. I can see it. It kind of piles up to the side instead of flowing in. The other test for this is it has to be firm enough that I could take this bowl and flip it upside down, and the meringue won't move. That's what I'm looking for. We got to pull a whole. We got to pull a Dairy Queen with it and flip it over. Nope. It is possible to over whip eggs as well. They will. They'll start to go watery, and there's no way to bring them back if you go too far. You're pretty much never going to go too far if you do this by hand, but with the power of technology, it is possible to overshoot it. We've got soft peaks. You can see they. If I pull straight out and flip it over, it kind of stands up, but it flops over. I'm going to get a scraper, clean scraper, scrape these sides down a little bit. I think that'll help. I'm going to need a tool to fold in the powdery ingredients anyways, so having it ready already is good. And then I can just use the edge of the beater there to scrape it off. Perfect. It's not clean, but it's good enough. As my father would say, close enough for government work. Oh, speaking of my father, it's my parents' wedding anniversary today. Wish them a happy anniversary. They're not watching. They're off enjoying their anniversary. They do often watch me here, but I can understand them wanting to perhaps enjoy their day for a change instead of hanging out with me. No, see, they're still falling over. Still soft peaks. Whew, it takes a lot of beating to get these guys just the way you want them. Okay, okay. Gotta get it smaller. Come on. It's firming up to the point where it's getting stuck to my whisk in large quantities. That's a pretty stiff peak. It points straight up at you guys. You can't even see it. That's a stiff peak. Here, I'll hold it up to the thing. It points straight up. So I'm calling it good enough. Set the mixer part aside. We don't need it anymore. The part that I always seem to miss when I'm watching is how people get the goop out of the beaters when they're done with the beaters. The beater always just seems to disappear in a cut. But that's important goop in there. That's the goop I need to make my dish. So get that out of there. Probably just less picky about getting all the goop out of the beater than I am. And I had quite a bit of egg there, so I think my eggs are larger on the large side, so I probably have enough extra to not have to worry about losing a bit. I didn't sift either of my powdery things here, and I think I'm just going to do that directly into the thing here. Because, it's good enough. The sifting here is to break up lumps. These obvious lumps that are still left in here. Because they won't incorporate neatly. Ooh, I spilled a whole bunch right in the back there. An actual, sifter has a little arm that presses your ingredient against the mesh in the bottom of the sifter. But you can just use a wire mesh like this and use your fingers. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And now we fold it together. which is essentially stirring, but gently stirring, sort of dig deep and fold over, dig deep, fold over. Because we just spent all that time getting all that air in there, and we want to be relatively gentle with it. So as to not immediately knock all that air right back out. But now that there's flour in here, I would not be able to beat it again. And I just want to do this until it's incorporated and it doesn't look like there's any separate ingredients. I'm sure I've done something horribly wrong that's going to end up with a disaster. Gotta be honest, this stuff doesn't seem runny enough to pipe. I wasn't gonna pipe it anyways, but you're supposed to pipe macarons onto the baking sheet. I don't think this stuff is runny enough to pipe. Anyways, I'm calling that incorporated. I don't see any separate things. It feels tiny bit gritty to my finger, and I'm wondering how that's gonna work out as well. Well, I did announce that I was making ugly, lumpy macarons. So we're well on our way to that. I need another scraper to scrape off my scraper. And you know what? Tiny pastry knife is going to be used later. He could be a new character. Tiny pastry knife. Except that he's not going to get nearly as much screen time. Tiny pastry knife. Okay, that's our batter. And our mess. I'm going to have to make sure to clean up extra thoroughly today so I don't get ants because there's powders all over the place. My oven has preheated in the time it took me to do that, so that's good. I've got this extra wide. Oops. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, that's the end of my parchment paper. I didn't think that was going to happen. Problem solving. Uh, What can I do to substitute with parchment paper? We're using Google. It says I can use a silicone mat. I don't have one of those. I guess we're using foil. I guess we're stuck with using foil. 'Cause it's the only thing I've got that's going to be oven safe at these temperatures. Well, that's an exciting twist. Good thing I've got giant foil. Which is hard to tear because it is so giant. God, of all the things I thought to check before I started this, I did not think to look to see if I had enough parchment paper. I just assumed that I had parchment paper. But nope, I didn't. It's the ingredient I don't have. So I assume that the cookies are going to stick to my aluminum foil. I know they would stick to the pan. I'm also reasonably confident they're going to stick to the aluminum foil. But hopefully I can peel them off. Okay, here's the part that's going to get people up in arms if they want me to make these properly. I'm using a spoon, and I'm wow, they're sticky. Why is my batter not runny at all? Well, we're committed to this, whatever this is. Should have done this with a melon baller. I don't know why my batter is so thick and sticky. I don't know what I could add to it at this point to change the consistency. Um, I spaced that first row too close together. It's a good thing I was planning on making ugly, lumpy ones, because damn, ugly and lumpy is the perhaps a charitable description of these things. Sure hope they taste good. I think we're going to need the other baking sheet as well. I've got quite a bit of batter left and no room because I did that row one off. Squeeze one more in there if I could get them to shift, but I don't know if it's possible to get them to shift. Yeah, because they're sticking to the foil immediately. Oh my god. Okay. Well, these guys are going to be a mess. The other baking sheet is also the small baking sheet, so god, these are terrible. No, good mindset. These are rustic. Okay. Well, that's the thing. They're not runny enough to even like do the thing where you tap them down. Uh, they're more like just tall meringues. Oh shoot. That's awkward. There's something in my oven. It's a cast iron pan, and now it's 300 degrees. Forgot I had that in there from the last time I was re-seasoning it. Okay. Well, the cookies might end up being a disaster. I'm going to run a timer on them. So at 116, I'm going to take them out and flip them around. Okay. Well. Good luck, little cookies. You might be a mess. Clean off my counter a little bit here. We will get more things ready while we wait, though. This guy's going to end up on this burner anyways, so that's fine. Let's see. I'll do this on the back burner so you guys can see it while I'm working. So back right, medium low, butter. We're starting with a roux. Oh, I guess there was oil on that burner. I'll let that burn off a little bit before I get cooking. So as to not get smoke in my roux. We're not making a smoked sauce. Yeah, you know, I replaced these drip trays just before I started trying to make this show, and they're already all gross. I guess I'm just a messy cook. Uh, so we're starting with making a veloute, which is like a bechamel, if you're familiar with a bechamel, but made with a stock instead of a cream or milk. I have right here homemade shellfish stock, shrimp, mostly shrimp. There was also a lobster shell in there that I boiled down yesterday. We'll be using this to make the veloute, and we'll also be using this to poach the fish. Give it a it has a rich shrimp, shellfishy flavor. The empty parchment paper up there, so I remember that I need more parchment paper. And I need flour. So we start with making a simple roux. We already had a tablespoon of butter out, so I'm going to add to that a tablespoon of flour. Just ordinary wheat flour this time. Roux acts as a beautiful thickener for sauces. Let's see, this is a non-stick. We're going to need a large whisk for this. So you gently cook it together to form a paste, and the heat helps it come together, and then they form these little fat-impregnated starch granules that, when they dissolve into a liquid, thicken said liquid. I'm going to reserve a cup of my stock here for that, and the remainder in here, which we'll thin out a bit with some water. Because I need enough liquid in there to actually do a poaching. So in one case, so I've split my stock in half. In one half, I'm concentrating it by making it into a sauce. We're going to be pulling some of the liquid out of it, thickening it up. The other one, I'm diluting it. I just want a very light roux. So the roux is already, I think, ready to accept the liquid. It's my time. I need to turn my cookies. Oh no. Oh no, they look terrible. Oh no, it looks like they're terrible. I guess I'll have to revisit the macarons properly at some point. Tiny Whisk is here. He's going to beat these 3 egg yolks together so that they're just one big egg yolk. And his job is done for the day. He can rest in the sink. Speaking of job being done, large whisk, also his job is done because we have successfully whisked. Okay, yolk, shallot, minced, a tiny bit sprouty, Caught on the tip of my knife. You know, I'm starting to feel like Thursday is not a great day for me on the old Twitch TV, at least not with this content. So we might end up going back to that Friday. Or I could try Wednesday. Wednesday would be an odd one because I've got a regular engagement on Wednesday evening, so I'd have to be sure that whatever I did was done in time for that. Oh, that's not as well incorporated as I had thought initially. I'm going to lightly saute these shallots so that they're not raw when I throw them in there. And for that, I need a small amount of butter. We're doing French things, so butter. I like butter. Who doesn't like butter? I know, but don't like butter. There are people who can't eat butter. That's different. Let's see. I also need to get some things in that poaching liquid. That's a very skinny carrot. The stock I made was literally just shrimp. I didn't even salt it. It's just pure shrimp and one lobster. So to get the other flavors that you normally get in a stock, I'm adding them now to my poaching liquid. Which we should probably bring up to a simmer now so we can incorporate these flavors before I actually get to the poaching part. So, carrot. I've got celery, but my celery has gone really gnarly. It keeps trying to escape the package that it came in. It must know that it's spring and is trying to grow. Because look at what this stuff has done. First of all, I don't eat celery a ton, but it's all turning this way. It's going a bit yellow as well because it's been in there for a hot minute. So we'll just take the gnarliest looking bits off of it. Take it into chunks. When your celery goes a bit off color, it still is fine to eat. It's just less pretty to look at. And I'm going to also throw an onion in there. So, yeah, all my various vegetables seem to know that it's spring, and they've all turned their faces upward. We should get this guy out too. It's fully thawed. I've got a very nice piece of rainbow trout with his little rainbow stripe. That is going to be our actual main course today. Let's see, my veloute needs to lightly simmer, not crazily boil. So we might bring his temperature down just a tick. Hot. That's hot. Ow. Why did I use my finger for that? That's hot. I'm going to bring the poaching guy up to a boil. We can bring it back down to a poach. Onion. I was going to throw an onion in my poach. The smallest onion I've got, because I don't need a ton and I don't want to waste onion. Oop. Well, it's the smallest one I've got, and it's also got a bad spot on it, so I can cut that off and waste even less onion. And also get it out of my drawer so it doesn't contaminate the other onions. You gotta use onions fast in the summer. In the winter, it gets quite chilly here in my kitchen. Not so in the summer. If we look, we've got a little bad spot forming in one of the outer skin layers here. So we'll just take the outer couple of layers off. Oop, nope. That goes several layers in. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's see, what am I smelling? Smelling the shallots, we keep them a little bit toasty. I want to put these somewhere. I really wish that I hadn't forgotten that that cast iron pan. And it needs some salt because there was no salt in it. And I'm also going to say it needs some spices. Let's see, we're over here on the stove, bringing you back down to a simmer. 1 bay leaf. Oop. I guess we're putting a ton of time in it. black pepper. Get these guys all kind of getting to know each other in here. My veloute is thickening, which is exactly what I wanted to see. This front guy has got to come down now. So you can see as I run my spatula through it, it leaves a streak on the bottom because we've thickened the stock into a drizzleable sauce. You know what I'm probably smelling is these guys. I may have probably overcooked some of these. Okay. I actually forgot I had these in here. That's not the best of news. Ow. Oh, and I just crushed one against the rack. Slightly. Minor crushing. Okay, those guys have got to cool off. I have got them. Need a sous chef. We're setting up away from everyone in the other room here, near my air conditioner, which I'm actually going to turn off because I don't want it blowing on these while they're sitting here. Well, the cookies did not even out in the oven. And I left them in there for a good 10 minutes longer than I was supposed to. But they're also much thicker than I think they were ever meant to be, so. Those can cool. Oh, exciting stuff. Okay. I've only got one project going on. Well, no, I've still got two projects going on. That's got to come back up to a simmer. Oh, boy. What stuff do I add to... Oh, I hate this website. Some of these websites these days are just really, especially recipe websites, they're so unuser friendly. They hide everything away. Yeah. That doesn't sound so hard. So my shallot is going in there. Get it stirred around. We're throwing in some finely minced up parsley, which I haven't created yet, and also the egg yolk and the cream, which I don't think I want to add the egg yolk while it's extremely hot. Egg yolk and the cream will make it even thicker sauce. Get the twist tie off this parsley. We have curly parsley today. I don't fully know the difference between curly parsley and flat parsley. And that's what I have to say about it. It might just be a visual difference, honestly. I don't think they taste any different at all. My opinion, they don't taste anything different at all. Take the stems out of them, though. Ugh, why did I decide to cook French today, of all days? How are those burners doing over there? Anything gone up in flames yet while I'm distracted with the parsley? God, I hope so. I can make a clip of that. Okay. I actually do want a larger knife for the parsley because it's going to be really hard to cut it up. With the small knife. Ironically, small things, easier to cut with a big knife. Big things, often easier to cut with a small knife. This is quite a lot of parsley, but we're putting it in a hot liquid, so it's going to reduce down a ton. I'll make sure our sauce doesn't stick either. You know, I might turn that completely off and go on residual from here. This front guy's got to come up, though. We're not at a poach. We're at a nothing. Oh. Oh, wine. That's the other thing that goes in the Normandy sauce. Got that handy behind my there as always on my camera. I'm gonna eyeball it with the wine. Then we need to definitely bring the heat back on that thing because the wine needs to cook the alcohol off. We're not making an alcoholic sauce. We're making a French sauce. Okay, okay, we're getting there. We're almost there. Put my rest of my parsley away. Save a nice sprig. I said a nice sprig. I said a nice sprig. Fine. Part of a nice sprig. For garnish, and we need to get our fish out of its plastic tomb. God, what's my time at this point? 140. Okay, okay. We'll be done soon. Not immediate soon, but you're to the point where all these things are sort of coming together. What the heck? I don't like how they sealed this fish in. It's very hard to cut it out without damaging the fish. It's such a nice looking piece. I want it to come out in one nice piece. And I'm going to put it right in to my. Oh, come on. Get the shit out from underneath it so it actually sits. Get the shit out from underneath it so it actually sits in the poaching liquid fully. Okay. We need to bubble off our white wine. That wine's also going to be the one I drink alongside this, so I'll keep it out. See how cool my Ganache is. Coolish. Okay, I made a mess today. That's for sure. I put a few things away. I have a momentary reprieve while I have to wait for things to get caught up here. So I will take advantage of that and head start myself a little bit of the cleanup. I only had one bowl in the sink from lunch, and I wish I would have done it now because it's been joined by a vast number of bowls. Okay. Oh. One thing that sauce is going to need is some salt. Because again, there was no salt in it. Normally, Veloute is salty because you make it with a stock base, but my stock was unsalted. Okay, that heat stays on. That heat goes off because I want to add, you know what? We're going to bring it to the front so I have more control over it and it's not picking up residual from the burner. I'm going to add my egg and cream mixture to it. the lid on my poach. And I put the lid on, I bring the temperature down. The sauce needs to actually re-thicken a little bit. So back on the heat, that one goes, because it needs to be thick and saucy, not super runny. Oh, oh, my ears are sweating to the point that my headset is slipping. I wasn't expecting that. Let's see if I can't get one of these macarons off of its home here. And I somehow managed to make an even number. So if I want to sacrifice one as a tester, I'm going to have to sacrifice one as a tester. But they come off pretty easily. Let's take a closer look at one of these guys, since I am sacrificing one of them as a tester. Get over. Let's just do the big cam. So this is what my thing came out looking like. This is the one that I bumped on the way out. You can see they're hollow. They're very, very hollow. It's lumpy. I'm going to give it a nibble and see how it tastes and how well cooked through it is. It's really soft in the middle, like almost raw dough soft in the middle. And it's sickeningly sweet. It's very sweet. I think I put too much sugar in it. Huh. Well, the second bite wasn't as bad. It's very sweet, though. It's got a crispy outside and a chewy inside, but the chewy inside is not like that marshmallowy chewy inside. It tastes like a macaron. The texture's weird and they're very ugly on top, but they taste like a macaron. They're also much more poofed up than they're supposed to be. Did I put my cut? I did. Um, oh, damn it! Stop boiling. Go back down to a poach. I put the lid on so I wouldn't have quite so much of a mess going on, and my poaching liquid came up to a boil, which I knew was going to happen, but now I'm just mad about it. Oh, shit. And my sauce got much too hot and has scrambled. I think I can save it, but I'm going to have to whisk it hard. I scrambled my sauce. Shit. Wasn't paying attention. I got distracted and I scrambled my sauce. Okay, the only way I think I can save the sauce is I'm going to run it through my blender. So, on with the adventure. The blender still has some crumbs in it from when I made those breadcrumbs the other day. Thought I wasn't going to need it immediately. Okay. Well, this is going to be fun. Hopefully, it's not too hot for my blender. This isn't a high heat blender either, so. It's steamy. Scrape my sides down. It's not super hot. Okay. I think we've saved. I think we've saved the sauce. It wasn't fully curdled. It was just starting to scramble. Smells good. Let's get it out of that container. I don't have like a gravy boat or anything, a serving dish for it. I was expecting to serve it right out of the pot that it was in. Now I don't. Now it's out of there. I don't want to put it back in. That might be too small. That guy might be too small. Oh, I didn't even change the camera angle. I was so distraught. That might be too small. Such an interesting set of dilemmas I give myself whenever I make food. Bunch of minor disasters seem to follow all of my projects. Probably could have poured it right out of the thing here, but I want to get it out of this container because, again, I don't trust the heat. My sauce Normande has maybe turned into a custard. Oh, but it tastes great. Wow. Ooh, those flavors go together so well. Some cold water in there to make sure that the plastic elements at the bottom have a chance to set back together. Okay, that was an adventure. Extra mess to work with today. Let's go to plating the main dish. Oh, I bumped the overcam. not that one. That one. Now, normally you poach a delicate white fish. I poached a sturdy pink fish, which is good because I kind of overcooked it. And if this had been a delicate white fish, it would have disintegrated. Okay. My artsy swoop is not perfect, but hey, I made a thing. Who'da thunk it? I made a thing. What do you think of that? I call it Rainbow Trout Normande. That's extra sauce. That's I'm gonna take some pictures of this, and then I'm gonna take a bite. Circled in the French fashion, yes. You eat the thing inside the circle. I'm gonna take some pictures of it quick. We'll give it a bite. I'm gonna serve it with a side salad, but the plating kind of requires that it not be on the same plate. Where did I put my camera tablet? Tablet camera. Where have you gone? Oh, that's annoying. Wow, I'm all sorts of out of sorts today. Aha, aha, I found it. Oop, I almost walked in on you with the camera. Okay, coming back with the fish. Let's have a taste. Ooh, skin comes apart pretty easily, so that's good. One of these capers on there. Mmm. Ooh. Ooh. It goes through phases in your mouth. It needs some black pepper. Probably should have gone in the sauce. Put some in the poaching liquid, but it didn't get into the fish very much. The sauce is so complex. It's interesting. It's got a richness to it from the shrimp stock base, but it's also got a separate richness to it from the fatty yolks and cream that's in it. But it's also got this lovely savory. I don't know. It's hard to describe. This is a really good combination of flavors, though. If you didn't scramble your eggs, I'm sure this would come together in a nice. I thought it was also a bit too thick because I scrambled my eggs and had to blend them. But I think if you didn't scramble the eggs, this would be a beautiful like drizzle sauce. I like it. Rainbow trout is nice. I think this dish actually would be served better with a lighter fish. I think the rainbow trout is a bit too strongly flavored. It's tasty, but with this lovely complex sauce, I kind of want more of the sauce as I eat, and not quite as much of the fish. I think they're out of balance. I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to come back with my ugly macarons. Here they are, ugly macarons. Because this is also going to be an adventure. Same color plate. Get out my ganache, which has set up nicely in the hour it's been in there. So these guys should. So they're firm on the bottom. They obviously didn't develop those little feet. But you grab two that are roughly the same size. These are very poofy too. There's a lot of air in them that I. Oh, and my ganache is rock solid. Huh. Okay, well I misjudged that too. Probably should let that cool at room temperature. Well, not rock solid, but solid. And there you go. That's a cookie. It sure is lumpy and ugly. It sure did exactly turn out lumpy and ugly like I predicted it would. Uh, get this one properly filled here. Huh, the ganache set up faster than I expected it to as well. Let's take a bite of one of them. And then I'm going to assemble the rest of these and take a picture of them all together. But I'm taking a bite and let you know how the thing works together. It's very sweet. If you look in the middle here. I don't know if you can tell. It's soft to the point of being doughy, which is not great. And considering they were in the oven 10 minutes longer than they should have been, because I forgot about them, that's a problem. Clearly I did something wrong, because they are not really cooked super well in the middle. I think my dough came out, or my batter came out much too thick. But I'm very unclear as why or how. Because there's no extra added liquid in any of the steps. So it's not like I could have adjusted an amount of liquid that I put into it, make it thinner. Which means it would be down to holding back on the dry ingredients, but that, Well, the flavor balance between the filling and the actual outside cookie part is good because the filling is bittersweet chocolate. So it's a darker, heavier chocolate flavor. And the outside is a bit over sweetened. So between the two of them, they kind of balance out. You can still only eat a couple of these. These are quite sweet and stick to your teeth. And they're also really inconsistently sized. What if I pull one out here? This is the end batch. I wonder if any of these guys, like that one, seems like it's the right height. It's not super tall. Some of these are just like toweringly tall because there's a big balloon inside of them. And normally when you're making these, I've seen people make these, you do a tap tap to knock the air out of them. I tried doing that and these were so thick they didn't even move. Well, that one's still sticky in the middle, but cooked through better. I don't love them. I don't hate them. I don't love them. Well, they make my teeth hurt a little bit too because they're so sweet. Probably can only eat maybe 2 of those at a time, and then you're done. They're quite heavy and sweet. Well, my fish is getting cold in the other room, so I'm going to wrap us up here, and I will assemble the rest of these after the fact. I might actually even try putting them back in the oven to see if I can't get them to like on a like on a real low temperature. If I can't get them to sort of solidify in the middle a little bit more. But I'm not going to fiddle with these anymore right now because I want to get to that fish. I was hoping this would all come together at the same time, and it kind of did. So there will be pictures of the assembled finished products, but later, down the line. Not immediately, because I have to tinker with them a bit. Still, let's see who's on that I can dump people off on. How do you feel about some Elden Ring? We're going to go visit Hekime, who's playing Elden Ring for the first time. I'm not sure how far she is into it. So if you don't want to get spoiled, be careful. But I don't care about being spoiled, and I watched someone play it already. So yeah, get back to the thing. Thursdays might be on the outs. I might switch back to Friday, or maybe even try a weekend thing. We could do Saturday morning. That might be neat. Um, so stay tuned for changes to the schedule. Tuesday's my winning day for sure. Otherwise, be excellent to each other. Brunch stream. Ooh, we could make mimosas. Um, be excellent to each other. Say hi to Heku when we get there. I'm going to hit the raid now button. So, see you next week. Oh, that's counting down for me because I talked too long. So, see you when this countdown goes and kicks us off to Heki.